how's it going? Welcome. Hi. Who was at the Family Feud last night? I know you guys were. That was crazy. How did we do that? That was like pulling out the last piece of Exodia at the last second. Maybe I screwed the rules. I followed the rules to the letter, thank you very much. Though, the one thing that I don't know what I was doing, they were like, name a place where it would be inappropriate to wear cat ears. And I said, a doghouse. It's be inappropriate for a human being to be in a doghouse. Some people are into that. It's very true, Princess Leia. Yeah. The Joey contingent is here. What would Joey's fans be called? Brooklynites? I don't know. The Nyers? The Nyerheads. What's up, my Nyerheads? This is Joey Wheeler. We're gonna do a let's play of... Not furries. It's my favorite game. You just walk up to people and you say, are you a furry? And they say, nah. And they're all wearing fursuits. It's weird. Very strange experience.
Kind of hairy.
What? It's kind of hairy. The hairy experience. Thank you, because now we have a bottom of the barrel that I can aim for. That is hair-raising. Welcome. Welcome to LittleKuriboh Unabridged, which is really a front for Maddox's evil council of doom, which you have all become unofficial members of. I want us to recite the Pledge of Evil Allegiance right now, okay? I swear.
I swear.
By the moon and the stars in the sky. I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I swear.
I swear.
Thank you. No, that's not... Welcome to the LittleKuriboh panel. Hi, Seto Kaiba. You look very lost and confused. I'm not. I'm doing this intentionally to throw you off. It's part of my strategy. Seto has strategy in buckets. I have a whole big bucket of strategy for you. I have a lot of dragons. My strategy is I will attack you with a dragon. And when that dragon doesn't defeat you, then I have another dragon to attack you with. Eventually, the dragon will defeat you. Game of Thrones basically represents my entire deck. Welcome everybody. I'm LittleKuriboh, and I've had a whale of a time at Comic-Con. I don't know about you guys. Have you guys had a good time? I missed it last year. I felt so bad that I didn't get to come last year, and it was entirely on me. It was a scheduling error. I went to a different convention that was scheduled at the same time. And I've been coming since, I want to say, 2010 to Comic-Con, and it's always been like a home away from home for me. I don't know if it feels that way for any of you, but really, I was intimidated. I was worried about coming to this show, and I know some of my friends will attest to that I told them. I was genuinely nervous, and I tweeted about it, because I don't have much of a filter. I was like, I'm terrified of this convention. But you guys made it a really awesome experience for me, and I don't know what I was afraid of, because this was really heartwarming and really helpful. So thank you. How many people haven't been to one of my panels this weekend yet? Oh, there's a fair few of you. Gosh. Okay, so I'm going to introduce myself for the sake of those of you who haven't been to one. I'm LittleKuriboh. I am responsible for... I made Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series back in 2006, which is like the dark ages of YouTube. I don't know. It was like the Wild West back then, when you could put anything out there and it would explode. It was crazy. And I decided... I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! At like 6 in the morning before Pokemon came on. I was trying to watch Pokemon, but I accidentally watched Yu-Gi-Oh! That's how I fell in love with it. I tuned into the end of an episode where Yami Marek had defeated Ishizu. No, Kaiba dueled Ishizu, and Yami Marek was gloating about it. And he was like, yeah, now I'm going to destroy the Pharaoh, and you have no way of stopping me. And I was like, but you're playing a card game. I see a flaw in your strategy of destroying somebody. It is trading cards. and not much else. What's happening? Why are these people yelling and getting all excited about it? And I genuinely was baffled, but it was one of those things where I was so intrigued by what the hell it was, what the hell it could possibly be, that I tuned in earlier the next week to see what the next episode was like. And then I tuned in even earlier to catch the very beginning of the episode so I could really sort of understand the concept of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it is kind of strange that there are card games involved, and I thought, oh, this is just going to be a Pokemon ripoff. But then there's like this mystery involving a pharaoh who's trying to find out the secrets of his past and understand like what happened in like 5,000 years ago to cause him to put himself inside a puzzle and be reincarnated through this teenage boy who's in high school. It's such a strange mystery that it made me want to know more. And by watching more, I ended up getting very invested in it. I got very invested in this show to the point that I went and bought season 1 on DVD like a couple of weeks later, and I was like on the edge of my seat being like, tell me his grandpa's going to be okay. I need to know his grandpa is going to be okay. I was really worried about grandpa. And then I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the story. I fell in love with the characters. And I felt bad that I'd always regarded it as that show with the guy with the daft hair. That was how I knew it. And when I got to actually watch it, I felt like I'd shortchanged it. So when I made Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, I really wanted to show people why I loved it. And I believe that when you love something, when you truly love a show or a piece of art or a piece of media or even like people, you love them because of everything that's good about them and everything that's really like daft about them as well. Everything that's silly, all their flaws. You love all of that. You don't just love the parts that, work. You love the parts that don't work so well. And I loved everything about Yu-Gi-Oh! I still do. I still do love everything about Yu-Gi-Oh! And I wanted to celebrate everything that was right with Yu-Gi-Oh! And everything that was kind of wrong with Yu-Gi-Oh! By making Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. And that's why episode 1 came out. I made episode 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, which is a 4-minute video of me voicing things like, sounding like I just rolled out of bed. I'm like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is filmed before a large studio audience. And that's the whole first episode. Is just I threw it together in the space of like 4 hours, and you can tell. But I think that it had a real charm to it because of that. You could tell it was just one guy goofing around who had no real idea how to edit or how to record good audio. But I was trying really hard, despite all of that. I was trying really hard to celebrate my love for Yu-Gi-Oh! And being a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I told just the story of the first episode in the space of 4 minutes, and I tried to be funny, and I tried to do an approximation of the voices of the characters, and the fandom is really what gravitated to it and accepted it and celebrated that. I never really tried to push Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged as like the next big thing, or like, because I'd never done anything like that before. I'd never tried to make a video just by myself, like from scratch, just using other footage from a different source. And I threw it out there not expecting anything, and overnight it got not that many views. It just got like, I want to say 30 to 40 views, but everyone was saying, this is fun, you should make another one. And so I did, and I didn't anticipate, people always ask, did you know that it was going to be a big deal? And if I had known it was going to be something that would cause me to become invited to conventions or even just talked about at all, I would have been very intimidated. I would have been concerned. I would have probably put a lot more thought into it, which might have diluted the experience, honestly. But I kept putting episodes out, and by the time I'd gotten to episode 6, there were like hundreds of thousands of people watching this stupid parody series that I was making like in my bedroom, like in a day, and just throwing out there just as a laugh, basically. And people were celebrating it, and people were posting. My favorite thing, and I've said this, I'm sure, multiple times, my favorite thing, and the moment I knew that it was starting to take off, was when there was a thread on the Penny Arcade forums where someone had posted, it was just called Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged Series, and it had 60 pages of people talking about it. And the first post says, it had a link to the first episode and said, this is either the best thing ever made or the dumbest thing ever made. And I am proud to accept both of those titles. If anything, I'm more proud to have the latter, because I think that's a pretty great achievement, to have done the dumbest thing ever. But yeah, that's what...
With all the memes online,
What's that?
I said, I don't know. You have to compete with all the memes online.
I do have to compete with all the memes. I had to compete with Nyan Cat. That was difficult. We were fierce rivals. I'm pretty adorable, but that guy. I did Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridged, and that became a thing. I'm sure a lot of you probably know about that. I don't want to assume that you do, but back in 2006, it blew up, and I didn't expect it, and it changed my life. After that, I made Naruto the Abridged Comedy Fan-Dub Spoof Series show, which is a parody of a parody. Some of my friends made a Naruto Abridged. He's not here right now, but Moscow X, he was one of the people behind the original Naruto Abridged. And as sort of a rivalry of sorts, I made a bunch of episodes. Well, the first one was an April Fool's joke. I made episode 1 as like a way of saying, hey, what if we all traded shows for a day? And unfortunately, I was one of the only ones who did it. But I really was proud of that first Naruto spoof episode, so I made more, and it became a thing as well. A lot of people enjoy that one. I'm also the voice of Nylock in Tome. Do we have any Tome fans? There's always a good contingent of Jome fans? The Jarain of magical expertise. I'm Nylock in Tome. I'm Frieza in Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I'm the narrator who shows up occasionally. He just came back in the Broly movie. And I'm also known for, I don't know how many of you will know this, but I'm wearing a shirt that says Star Wars on it. I'm the official voice for the visually impaired. If you watch one of the Star Wars movies in theaters or on TV, you can switch to a separate audio track and hear me narrate the whole thing, which is really interesting. It's a really interesting experience for me, especially because I've never been able to sit next to me in a theater and hear me talk over the movie, but now I can. You know? It's great. If you've ever wanted to just switch over the audio track and hear me go, Kylo Ren sits in his room and whines for 5 minutes. If you've ever wanted that experience. I'm so angry. I've talked about this before, but bloody hell. I'm a big Star Wars nerd, and some of the things they had me say to describe what was happening got me very upset, but I couldn't say anything because I can't really question what they're telling me to say. But have you all seen Force Awakens? Yes. A lot of you have. You know how Poe Dameron flies into Starkiller Base and like he closes his S-foils and zooms inside the little shield generator thing and he destroys it? They told me to say, Poe Dameron closes his X-wings. And I'm like, his ship is the X-wings. His ship is the X-wing. Those are S-foils. I got very upset. But not nearly as... The main thing people questioned me on was my pronunciation of at. Apparently I was supposed to say AT. And it's a big point of contention with people. I do recommend, if you liked Rogue One, I hate to harp on this point because I know a lot of people, they're not here for Star Wars, but if you liked Rogue One, and I'm not going to spoil it, if you liked the ending of Rogue One, there's very little dialogue, which meant that they got to write a lot of description for it. And I felt they did an amazing job at describing what was happening. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's kind of a beautiful ending. It's beautiful in its own way. And they wrote some really appropriate prose for it. And I think that the audio description actually helps make that moment more powerful. So I do recommend watching it, even when you get it on Blu-ray, just as an like just at the end, just switch over to the audio description and listen to me describe what's going on there. I do recommend it. But yeah, that's what I've done. This is the LittleKuriboh Unabridged panel. We've got about 40 minutes, and I'm happy to answer any questions that people have. Or I can just, I was thinking maybe we'll do, has anyone played the voice duels thing that I bring to conventions sometimes? Some of you have. I might switch over to voice duels toward the end of the panel and we'll have a couple of games. But for the time being, I'd like to do Q&A. If you have any questions whatsoever, we have a microphone lined up in the middle aisle. Feel free to stand up and come down and ask me anything. Otherwise, I'm going to just jammer on as I do. I'll start audio describing the panel. A handsome gentleman steps up to the microphone and doesn't know what to say.
Why,
he blushes. How's it going?
It's going good. I was wanting how much fun was it being abridged Frieza?
Oh, it was incredibly fun. Honestly, I think that's my favorite role that I've ever played in an abridged series. Outside of that, there's been a few professional stuff that I've done that I've enjoyed a little bit more just as an actor. But as an abridged series character, it was a really meaty role to sink my teeth into, just because more than any other character in that show, I think Cell probably rivals him a little bit. He has to be terrifying, but also funny. And they had to tread a very, very narrow line with that. It was very difficult to have him be... He's a very foppish character, but he's also very intimidating. And Kaiser Neko, the director, who, if you go to any of Team 4 Star's panels, you'll met him, he had a very conscious idea of what he wanted the character to be. So whenever people come to me and they say, oh, you're one of my favorite Freezers, which is one of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten in my entire life, because I know that character is very iconic for a lot of people. He's like one of the biggest anime villains of all time, not just because that battle goes on for like 20 episodes, but because he's just so... He's a monster. He's a monster, and he's a really terrifying presence in the show. And getting to really play that role, I talked about it on the Team 4 Star 18+, how many people were there. A few of you. I'm going to tell this story again just because it got a bit of a reaction. I had no idea anything about Freezer when they cast me. I didn't really know the guy. When they wanted me to audition for him, they had me audition for Captain Ginyu. They thought it would be a funny character for me to play. And so I posted, I made a video where I dubbed over Ginyu and Freezer. They were in a scene together. And I actually have that video posted on my channel after I got cast as Freezer. But I sent them this clip. And they were like, well, we like what you did with Ginyu, okay, but we're really interested in what you're doing with Freezer. At the time, I had him much deeper, and I had him sort of raspier. It was very similar to Bakura from my show. And they liked the idea of the character that I had. So they said, look, here's a clip from the Japanese. Try to match this sort of performance. And I tried again, and I sent them another clip. And they said, yeah, okay, well, we're going to go ahead with you as Freezer. And they'd been through, I want to say, 4 or 5 different casting changes with that character. And one of the people who was going to play him was Lani Pator, who is essentially all of your favorite characters in DBZ Abridged. He's Vegeta, he's Krillin, he's Piccolo, he's so many people. And it would have been very safe for them to cast him because he's part of the main group and he knows the character so well. So the fact that they came to me and said, we would like you to do this, was a huge honor, very intimidating. And I wasn't sure if I would do it justice, and I wasn't sure if I deserved it at all, because I wasn't familiar with it. I went out of my way to really study the character until I really had a good idea of him. And it turned out we were going to show the first ever, not really episode, the first real scenario where I played Freezer, which was the Bardock. What's it called?
Episode of Bardock?
Episode of Bardock, is it?
I think so.
Bardock what? Father of Goku, that's right. We were showing that movie at a convention called Youmacon, and we didn't know that it would turn out that we would all be there at the same time, and it just so happened to be our first ever convention. It was the first one I appeared at as a guest in America. It was the first one that Team 4 Star had guested at as a group. It was the first time they ever met. So there was a lot of emotions involved in this entire setting. And they were going to show this movie. They'd never done a movie before together. They had done episodes, but they'd never done a movie. And this was a surprise premiere, and nobody even knew that this was going to happen. So we were all sat on a panel, and we were sat there waiting for the surprise reveal of the Bardock Father of Goku Abridged. And the crowd went wild. And I was sat there with them, and I had just met them. This was my first time meeting Team 4 Star, and I didn't know if they'd even like me, honestly. I never know how people are going to react to me. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but even if I've known someone online for years, I never really know if they're going to like me as a person in real life. So it felt very humbling that they were so kind to me that they wanted me not only to be in their movie, but to be on their panel and to be their friend. You know, that was the biggest honor of the entire weekend. But sat there on the panel, knowing that people who had no idea what was going to happen were about to hear me speak as Freezer for the first time, it was nerve-wracking. And right before Freezer appears on screen, Lani Pator, one of the mainstays of the group, stands up and he picks up his bottle of water and he just starts walking, sort of pacing back and forth on the panel stage as if he's just stretching his legs. He's not really doing anything specific. And then as soon as Freezer opens his mouth and my voice comes out, he turns and starts pointing at me and jumping on the stage and freaking out. And the whole crowd like stands up and applauds. And as someone who was never really known where they stood in the world or as a person or as an actor or if they belonged with those people as their friend or as their fellow abridger, it was incredibly gratifying and incredibly moving to have that moment and to be accepted like that. So it was a huge honor to play Frieza. It really was.
The thing was, I actually never saw Dragon Ball until the Abridged. So that was you were actually the first exposure I ever had to Frieza.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm proud to have done that. That's really awesome, man. Thank you. Hello, sir.
Hello. I wanted to ask if you could do a request for me. There's this certain scene in the Yu-Gi-Oh series,
Yes,
where Odeon is dueling Joey, and this is like my favorite scene in the whole show.
yeah.
And I know I might be taking away one of your favorite roles, but I want to know if you could help me do that scene. I have it written down right here.
You have it written down? Okay.
Yeah, I just need for you to say two things.
Sure. Let me. What do I need to say?
Then just say this first line, then I'll point again, and you say the second line.
The first one is you, and the second one is me.
No. I'll
You're going to point to me when I say these lines, and I'm Odeon. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Wait, Odeon! Stop your attack!
I stopped the attack as you requested, Master. But why?
I want you to destroy him with the Egyptian God cards! Play the Winged Dragon of Ra!
He's such a child.
I don't want you to destroy him with that card. I want you to destroy him with the other card that I gave you. You big smelly jerk.
But it's too dangerous. Please, don't make me summon the Winged Dragon of Ra.
You just wrote raw.
Next time on Monday Night Raw, Obelisk the Tormentor's gonna lay the smackdown on Slifer the Sky Dragon.
Thank you.
You can't see me, Yugi.
If you smell what the Pharaoh is doing. I'm just going to keep doing wrestling catchphrases, sorry. What's up?
I have two questions, kind of.
Two.
Going back to Friday, what's today's color?
Today's color is green.
So just shout at you, it's green.
Yeah! It's not blue!
Can you dab for me?
Can I dab for you?
Yes.
Do you want me to dab as a specific character?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Frieza,
matter?
Frieza.
As Frieza? All right. Pretend planet Namek is over there, okay? And I'm shooting my laser beam, my death beam at it. Here we go. Have fun. I do not have the moves. Welcome.
Hello again.
Hi.
I was going to ask, do you have any favorite mishaps that you had with words, like you've stumbled over words, or you meant to
Winged
say
Dragon of Raw was a good one.
just like in the course of doing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, have you ever gone through a scene and then gone back and looked at it and seen that maybe you missed a word, or you?
One of my favorite mishaps that I had, it wasn't really a pronunciation of a word, but it was that my accent slipped through. There was a scene where Mako Tsunami throws a harpoon at Yugi, which is hilarious. That's one of my favorite scenes from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, just because it's baffling to me that Mako Tsunami is so adamant that Yugi duel him that he throws a murder weapon at him, potentially. It's like shooting a gun at someone and saying, let's play this card game, man. We gotta sell things. And Yugi just storms off. But Yugi's so affronted by what Mako Tsunami did that I guess he starts having a British accent for some reason. He just starts going, "Oh, why'd you throw a harpoon at me?" It was early days. Like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing, but it's really funny in retrospect. I guess it was Bakura rubbing off on him. I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything that I mispronounced that really stuck with me, though. I mean, funnily enough, Paradox in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Time Abridged, I was just playing around with voicing him as Mandark. He was just going to be Mandark for a long time. And at one point, he was going to say protagonists a lot, and he did. And the reason he says protagonists all the time, I feel like a lot of people like the joke, but I think people don't really understand why he does it. He focuses, in the original movie, he focuses on Yusei and Jaden for some reason. Just because they're the protagonists. That's the only reason why he's shown going after them.
Why else would anyone focus on Jaden?
Why else would you focus on Jaden? Oh. But yeah, so his whole thing is like, I'm angry at you because you are the stars of the show, and otherwise there wouldn't be a movie. And I just started doing the Mandark voice, and at one point I just said, protagonists, because I was just saying it so many times that I thought, oh, a lisp. And I'm a big fan of lisps, I have to say. I think lisps are very endearing. And I thought it undercut a lot of his evil mannerisms and made him a much more fun character. And writing him with the lisp led me to do a joke later on in the movie where he said, oh, I hope my great-great-grandfather Darts is proud of me, which I was excited about because it meant that there was a link between something from the original Yu-Gi-Oh! And this random movie villain, you know? So I know he's not random because he shows up in 5Ds, but it was cool to have a link between my show and this villain. He's such a strange villain because he has that mask on and then he takes it off and it's like, who are you? But yeah, probably that one. Probably those.
One last thing.
Yes.
Could you lead us all in a chant from my favorite TV show, The Kill Your Family Show?
The Kill Your Family Show? Okay, but people outside are going to get very confused.
Are you ready, kids? It's time for your favorite show. Kill your family, kill your family, kill your family, kill your family, and pause. The end.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I went to Otakon one year, multiple years, but we did an abridged series panel multiple times, and they always filled the room. It was crazy. They gave us like a 1,000-person room, and we always crammed it full. And there were always enormous lines that spanned like one of the entire buildings that they had it in. And people were so bored waiting for the panel that they would start chanting references to abridged shows. So one time when I was walking through Otakon's hallways, I just heard a large crowd of people going, kill your family, kill your family. I can't imagine what like the parents thought. Must have been an interesting experience for them. Hello, sir.
Hi. Two questions. The first one is, you've obviously helped create, been a part of, and seen a large number of abridged series. Do you sort of have an idea of what makes an abridged series good and what doesn't make it good?
In my opinion, the best stuff that I do, and the best stuff that a lot of people do, especially I think Team 4-Star have it down to an art, is just exaggerating all of the qualities of the show, all of the qualities of the characters. I think, especially with a villain, Kaiba and Bakura are popular abridged characters because they basically are the characters from the show. I've been getting a lot of people tweeting at me after seeing the new movie that's out in theaters. Please go see it if you can. People are saying, oh, these characters seem very abridged. And I'm like, no, they're just ridiculous, you know? Like Kaiba, spoilers, he does build a space elevator. Like, that's not a joke. It's something that he does. So the abridged version of this character is not too far off the real thing. He's just more self-aware. You know? So I think just exaggerating all of the things that you remember from the show and all the things you fell in love with to a comedic extent is the best way to approach it. Don't try and cram things. I've been guilty of this. Don't try and cram things into the show that just don't exist within the original material. Don't try and change things to such an extent that it becomes unrecognizable. And don't do really, really like complex inside jokes that wouldn't make sense unless you were in the scripting room at the time. I really think that it's a simple case of just paying tribute to what people love about the show, for better or worse. I really do think that, especially in Team 4-Star's case, it's a celebration of everything wrong and everything right about it.
And second question, favorite character from Overwatch?
Favorite character from Overwatch to play?
Either whether it's to play or just personality-wise.
Well, I play D.Va all the time. Hey! Got a couple of D.Va fans. I dabbled in Hanzo for a while, which apparently makes me, apparently makes me a piece of garbage. I don't know. But what's that? You played some Reaper? My friend Julie, that I play with all the time, she has like an almost 100% Reaper like play rate, and she's been playing it for like several hundred hours, and she just exclusively plays Reaper.
Reaper because he's like this big edgelord.
Yeah, he is a bit of an edgelord. I hate to say it, I'm gonna out myself as a fan of the booty, but I love Widowmaker. As a character, I think she's fantastic. I think she's beautiful. I think she really is. I love her. And I love all those characters. What I love about that game is that, and I know it's a point of contention with some people, but it's a very female dominant game, and you just don't have many of those. I hate to say it, but it's cool to see one of those. It really is. There are people who need to see that.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Why did you delete Duel Links? I thought you were a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh!
People discovered at my late night panel last night that I
wasn't
downloaded
18
Duel
plus.
Links. It was not an
It was
18
not
plus. That's
18
right. It
plus.
was 13 plus. People discovered, thanks to my wife, that I downloaded and then deleted Duel Links within 2 days. Not because I don't like the game, and not because I'm not a true Yu-Gi-Oh fan, but because I just don't have the time to play children's card games. I did the same thing with Pokemon Go. I just don't have the time to leave my house, I guess.
Because of that, your wife labeled you as a fake fangirl. How
She
do you
said
feel about
fake
that?
gamer girl.
Fake gamer girl. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that? Like I feel most of the time when my wife is around, completely emasculated. No, I love her. I'm joking. But I will reinstall Duel Links at some point, just to hear Kaiba berate teenage girls. If you've not played it, and if you weren't at the panel last night, Kaiba, like if you play as Kaiba and you get approached by an NPC who's just this little schoolgirl who's like, I want to play a card game. I'm going to destroy you. You won't stand a chance against the wrath of my Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. What a pun? No! You're a third grade duelist with a fourth grade deck. Was that the line? Fourth rate. Fourth grade? That would be good if she was a third grader with a fourth grade deck. Yeah, I'm a fake gamer girl, you can tell.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Hello, do you need that adjusted? Thank you, Princess Leia. You're our only hope.
You say why so British?
Why so British?
Wait, on a video too.
On video? Sure, let me know when.
Yeah, no.
Hello there, this is Yami Bakura, and I wanted to say, why so British?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Somebody had me perform Aaron Burser from Hamilton as American Bakura earlier, and I realized halfway into it that I didn't know most of the lyrics. I felt really bad. Oh, no.
As you recall from...
This gentleman has a Yugi body pillow, which if you flip it into face down position, has a Yami body pillow on the other side. You've got so many signatures on that. Who signed that for you?
I have gotten almost all of the guests to sign it. And they have all wrote something funny. They have followed your lead here.
I'm glad. What did they write?
One of my favorites was actually from Kaiser Neko. He wrote, show me your deck. But I just thought it was really funny and that you needed to see what it turned. My absolute favorite, though, is Alexander Shannara wrote, call me Alabama.
I want that to be on one of his billboards. For those of you who don't know what I signed that with, I tweeted it the other night. I wrote, show me what pot of greed does. It's very upsetting.
I just thought you needed to see.
I appreciate you showing me the results of your labor. That's a beautiful souvenir you have, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Will Kaiba build a wall dragon to make Yugi pay for it?
Oh, controversial.
No. He couldn't pay for it because he's broke.
I just love the petering out of the laughter there. That was a thing.
Sorry, I'm a whopping 5'2".
How dare you?
I know.
What are you cosplaying?
Huh?
What are you cosplaying?
Oh, I'm casual Sailor Uranus.
Very cool.
My
I dig
girlfriend's
it.
over there. She's Sailor Neptune.
Very cool.
But I just wanted to say thank you, first of all, for what all you do. I discovered you when I was in the awkward stage at high school, and I was going through depression and anxiety, and you really helped me through high school, first of all.
That's really
and
awesome.
then I just wanted to request if you could sing some of your Fresh Prince of Bel-Air parody.
I'll do my best to remember it. First of all, I want to say that getting through high school, I'm sure a lot of you know, is difficult for some of us. It's
It's
very
like the
difficult.
Shadow Realm.
Yeah, it's basically the Shadow Realm. It eats at your soul. But just know that regardless of what I did and however you feel I helped you, you got through that. You got through that with the strength that you have, and you were able to do that. And I'm proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
I really am. Everybody give her a round of applause. Katie, you're just going to sit down there and adjust the microphone the whole time? All right, let me do my best to remember this.
Now, this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. And I'd like to take a minute, just sit down, James, and tell you how I became the king. I'll tell you how I became the undisputed king of card games. In northeastern Africa, born and raised, in the palace is where I spent most of my days, chilling out, maxing, relaxing all the while, and playing some card games out beside the Nile, when a couple of guys who were up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood. Got in one little fight, and my mom, and what? And the guards got scared. They said, "You're moving in with Yugi and his grandpa downstairs."
Thank you.
Was there more of it? What was the rest?
I know he said something about he can sit on his throne with his ridiculous hair.
Oh, that's right.
I remember that one.
I don't remember. I sit on my throne with my ridiculous hair. I pulled it off flawlessly. What's up, sir?
Hey.
Hi.
I just want to say, like, I kind of like found you at a young age. I found you through watching like people like putting Yu-Gi-Oh over South Park.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I was just wondering, like, why?
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
No, it was actually like Yugi like calling the teacher like suck my balls. But I was just wondering, why did you pick Yu-Gi-Oh out of all the series that you could have picked?
Well, I talked about falling in love with the show at the beginning of the panel, but I picked Yu-Gi-Oh just because I love being involved in fandom. I really think fandom is a great thing, and obviously the fact that you guys are here, I think most of you agree with that. It's great because like there are a lot of people who don't really understand that you love this thing that might seem perfectly silly to somebody else, but there are other people who share your passion for it and share your love for fictional characters. And to me, fictional characters are really important because even if they're not real, they're as real as anything else inside your heart and inside your head, and that's real to you, you know? So I fell in love with the characters of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I hadn't been in a fandom for several years. Every time I tried breaking into one, just to be another person enjoying it, the fandom had died by the time I got there. I was big into Xena Warrior Princess for a while, and when I got into the show, nobody else was talking about it at that point. And then Yu-Gi-Oh! Happened, and people were starting, the passion was, I wouldn't say it was gone, but it was starting to drop off. It wasn't being as talked about as much. So I was like, I need to jump on this. I need to get into this fandom and make some friends really quickly before I lose the chance to. So Yu-Gi-Oh! I picked because I just loved the show so damn much, and I wanted to share that love with other people. So it was just either do it or don't do it. And I chose to try and reach out and meet other people who had similar interests. That was really what it was. It was my attempt to make friends, which is very Yu-Gi-Oh! At the end of the day. So yeah.
Go around like writing the mark on your arm, like, "Hey guys, who wants to join?"
Yeah, I definitely have done a few friendship symbols in my time.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. How much time we got? I'll get. Yes, sir. I missed that. What? I'm a real card. Were you the guy who did the hair joke earlier? I'm an aficionado on hair jokes, man, and I have to say, that was... that was good, though. Card. I like it. Hello.
Greetings.
Greetings.
My question for you is kind of from the Yu-Gi-Oh!
From the Yu-Gi-Oh!
But if you found yourself in Domino City or Battle City, what would your monsters of choice be?
Oh, my monsters of choice be?
Yes, to go into battle with.
I definitely need Watapon. There's a running joke in my show that everybody has a Watapon in their deck, but nobody wants to admit it. I used to play with a zombie deck. I didn't play I wasn't hardcore into the game, but I love zombies. I love zombie movies. I love the design of the zombie monsters. There's a zombie Red Eyes now, right? It's really cool looking. I'm a big fan of those zombie monsters, so I'd probably be the bones of the show, of real life, if I were to be one of those characters. I'm not familiar enough with the game. I do like a lot of the monsters in Arc 5, just because they look so ridiculous. There's a pink hippo with a top hat.
So good.
And the main character rides around on it. And somehow it's still more dignified than card games on motorcycles. There you go. I had to throw one out there this weekend.
All right, and the second thing, real quick, is
Yes.
because Pharaoh's Throne is such a deep part of my psyche at this point.
Oh.
Would you mind briefly duetting it with me?
Performing it?
Yes.
From the top?
Yes. So
Who's going to be who?
I'm Bakura.
You're Bakura. Okay.
Just very briefly.
I'll do my best.
Excellent. Fallow, your foolishness forces me to sing. I shall have both your throne and your millennium ring.
Listen, Limey, I don't think you understand a thing. Everybody knows that it is good to be the king. I'm handsome, good to be the king. I'm handsome, good to be the king. I'm handsome, everybody knows that it is good to be the king. Just because you have a sexy scar upon your face, you think you've got a right to command the Egyptian race. To stand against the pharaoh is a fight you're bound to lose. To beat you, I don't need my pants or even leather shoes. Stop moaning, I stopped caring hours ago. Only a fool takes a fight with the pharaoh. Stop moaning, I don't even want to know how in the hell you got screen time on this show. I'm taking you to school. It's time to do. I know it's time to do. So what do you want? Come and throw me a bone, cause you're not gonna take my pharaoh's throne. Flip for the cards and you tap God's zone, cause you're not gonna take my pharaoh's throne. What do you want? Come and throw me a bone, cause you're not gonna take my pharaoh's throne. Flip for the cards and you tap God's zone, cause you're not gonna take my pharaoh's throne.
Securing my town, even if it was your father. Maybe I'm something. You might be the pharaoh, but now I'm the dungeon master, making a disaster. Pardon all my laughter.
Hello again. Can we adjust the mic for a bit?
Thank you, Leia. The rebellion would
May
be
the
lost
force be
without
with
you.
you, good man.
She gives us hope.
All right, I know I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan. I would like to do one more thing. As Frieza, would you care to say the line, prepare to meet your doom, monkey?
Sure.
I want a video.
Absolutely.
I'll let you know when.
Sure.
All right.
Prepare to meet your doom, monkey.
And also, can you do it like more menacing?
That's fine, yeah, sure.
Prepare to meet your doom, monkey.
Perfect.
I got the role.
How you doing, Martin?
I'm pretty good. How you doing, man?
Doing good.
Good to see you.
I don't really have a question so much as something I want to say.
Can you do it more menacing?
No, I don't really have a question. No, but my thoughts are a little rambly, so just bear with me.
Me too.
So at this point, I've met you over 20 times. I've seen you at so many different conventions. It's to the point now to where you almost kind of get taken for granted. You know, oh, well, there's LittleKuriboh's booth. You know, it's just another thing at a con.
I like being just a part of the con.
Well,
I do.
Well,
I do.
the thing is, like, I've been thinking about it all weekend and various things you've said. I was at Family Feud last night.
Yes.
You know, you had hundreds of people in here shouting, Team 4-Star, Team 4-Star. They have so many fans.
Thank you.
They have so many fans, they make a post on Facebook, and within 5 minutes, they've got over 200 comments on it. And Team 4-Star is just such a huge part of the internet. And before that, there were all the various abridged series. You know, Lanny just had a question the other day about how, when are you going to do more Yu Yu Hakusho abridged, because that's what he started at. And all those abridged series sparked from yours, from from Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge. You know, they were all different kind of parodies of what you were doing. In your own way, indirectly, you by yourself have redefined the landscape of the anime online fandom community.
It's weird.
My general point of all this, the only reason I'm up here, I'm sorry for taking everybody's time, is you keep saying how much of an honor it is to be, you know, brought in with Team 4-Star and to be brought in with that. The honor is all of ours. Because you, by yourself, have... A lot of us grew up with different Abridged series. And that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you specifically. So I just wanted to say thank you from all of us. So... And that's all I had to say. So...
Wouldn't be a LittleKuriboh panel if I wasn't crying at some point.
Ms.
Give me a
Martin, I
sec,
want to
sorry.
second. Well, I want to second everything he said, first of all. But two questions. One, of all the characters you've done, which one took the longest to get perfect? And second, do you have any advice for people who want to do voice work as a job in the future?
Sure. I'll tell you the one that took the shortest to get perfect. Yami Yugi, because he already was. The one that took the longest to really, really nail down. Thinking about it. Honestly, from Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, I'd have to say either Marek or Bakura, just because I didn't really have a good idea of who they were initially. Like, I knew I wanted Marek. I'm going to go ahead with Marek, because when I set out to have that character be a part of this series, the Abridged series, everybody else sort of had their own catchphrase. Everybody else had their own gimmick. And I didn't want Marek to be one of those characters. I didn't want him to just be like, oh, do the Marek line. And whenever people come up to me and say something as Marek, they never have a specific line in mind. The closest I can think of is like Foxy Boxes or Binky Boy, but none of those are really from the main show. So I'm proud of the fact that while it took a long time, Marek's character was realized as one of the more popular ones and as one of my favorite ones to voice, just because he's a guy who's silly and is funny just because he is who he is. And not because he says, like, in America, or you know, screw the rules, I have money. He's just funny because he's funny. So it took me a while to really get into his shoes. But once I did, I felt very strongly and very proud about how he came across as a character, because he felt like a real person at times. As far as it comes to breaking into professional voiceover, what I would recommend is just practice. Practice is the first step, and it's the last step. And a lot of people take for granted the fact that a lot of people assume that voiceover, voice acting in general, the focus should be on the voice. But the focus is really on the acting. So take any chance you get to act, to use your voice in a performance in any way. Read books aloud to yourself. Take up amateur theater. Take improv. Take voice lessons if you can. And just audition for things every chance you get. There's lots of online communities that support amateur acting. There's voiceover. I don't know if the Voice Acting Alliance still exists, but I think it does. But that's definitely a good avenue to go down, because a lot of today's young professional talent started there and still are somewhat active there. And they want to help out all of the new generation as well, because that's where their roots lie. So honestly, just practice and just put yourself out there every chance you get. That's what I would recommend.
Thank you very much.
We don't have too much time left. I'm sorry that I've forgotten to do the voice duels, but we were really getting into a groove, and I really do appreciate the questions that you guys had. Let's go.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know if you remember me, but you actually did Nyla's voice for me and did a motivational speech for me about.
Yes, absolutely.
I wanted to say thank you so much for that.
Oh, no worries. Nylok's always happy to give an inspirational speech. He's got plenty of those.
Yes, exactly. And I'm trying not to cry again.
Oh, don't worry. It's all good. Crying is fine. I just did it myself.
And I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite scene involving Nyla? What's your favorite one that you did?
Oh, that's easy. It's also one of the hardest performances I've ever given as an actor. Was the scene where he and Game Crazed are sat on, I think they're on a bench. In the park, yeah. In Lavendera, I think they're in. And the gimmick of the scene, for those of you who haven't seen it, is basically Game Crazed is trying to empathize with Nylok, because Nylok feels like he's letting Curb down as a friend, because he can't really
he's in a difficult predicament. The emotions that Curb is going through are tough to deal with, and Nylock can't really understand how to be the positive force that Curb needs him to be. And Nylock really opens up to Game Crazed as a person, and Game Crazed talks to him and basically explains what Nylock is to all of his friends to him. And Nylock, for the first 6 episodes, is in character all the time. He's this dragon knight who's fighting against injustice, and he's doing everything he can. He's a symbol of hope. But in this moment, he's a real person. He breaks character, his eyes change, and his voice changes. And the direction I got from the director, Curb, was just be you. Just be you. And it's a very real scene for me, because Curb, the real person, the director, is talking to me through Game Crazed in that scene. He feels that way about the way... It's difficult for me to talk about just because I've gone through a lot recently, and I don't really think I'm that person to a lot of my friends anymore. I'm sorry. I don't really feel... this is difficult. I'm really sorry. It's difficult just because at the time I was in a place where all I was trying to do was be positive for my friends. And I lost that a little bit. So I'm trying to re-find it. I'm trying to find it again. But at the time, the scene was really important to me, and it was important to get right because it was a very real conversation that we were having, you know, between friends as well as characters. And he just said, be you. And one of the hardest things you can do as an actor is be you. I have to say, I'd never really even tried it before when that scene happened. So doing that was incredibly intimidating, and I struggled. But I think we pulled it off pretty well, and it's a very powerful little scene for a character that was comic relief up until that point. So I do recommend watching it, the entire series of Tome. It's a great undertaking, and he did an incredible job with it. Everybody who worked on it did. But that scene in particular is very special to me because it's my good friend talking to me about what I mean to him. So it means a lot to me on a lot of levels. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm afraid, unfortunately, we're going to have to cut things off there. We don't really have time for any more questions, apparently. So I'm really sorry to have to let you guys go. But I wanted to say thank you so much, not just for coming to the panel, but for coming to the convention. Whether you came here to see me, or whether you came here to see Team 4-Star, or any of the other guests, or if you just came here to hang out with friends, thank you for celebrating your fandom. Thank you for celebrating something that, to a lot of other people, might seem insignificant, but it's significant to all of us. And without you, it's impossible. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for taking the time.